ただいまですね。日本からただいま。Yesterday, I was supposed to arrive kind of earlier. Right now, there's no direct flights to Japan, which makes it a lot more difficult. But I didn't realize that my flight back to Austria was a lot longer than my flight to Japan. Which, of course, there's reasons. The wind currents, earth rotation. And then, of course, still, the routes are not the usual routes. The planes when going from Europe to, somewhere over there in Japan or similar areas, they still have to go, all the way around, which makes it a bit longer. But my flight connection wouldn't even have been that long. It would have only been 2.5 hours, which is not bad. But then in total, each of the single flights was still so long on its own on the way back that in total, it was gonna be a little bit over 21 hours. That's already long. And the flight to Japan was certainly fine. Wasn't too bad. I think it was maybe 16, 17 hours. Mind you, if it was a direct flight, I could get to Japan in 11 or 12 hours. But it took me fucking 21 hours to get back. And then I was looking forward to a short layover of 2.5 hours. And I arrived at the airport. It was Abu Dhabi, by the way, if you want to know. Abu Dhabi airport. I arrived around midnight, right? And then I go to the lounge because the lounge is quite nice. Pretty big. There's showers, so I take a shower, a quick one. And I was going to take a little rest. There's relaxation rooms. I was still hoping to record the voiceover for that YouTube short that I uploaded. Because I was too embarrassed. I went all the way to the furthest corner of the lounge where there were absolutely no people around, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna record. And I go to the very end of the lounge, nobody around, and I pull my phone really close to my face, and I'm like, I start recording, and I say, Kikeriki. And then I notice even a relatively low voice Kikeriki felt like it was not echoing, but it still felt because there was no one around me, no one talking, it still felt like it was going everywhere. And I felt super embarrassed, and I was like, fuck, I can't do it. I said one word and I was like, I can't fucking do it. So I gave up. So I was like, okay. In that case, maybe the relaxation room is really soundproof and I can do it in there. So I check, and even if it wasn't the case, I would have just chilled a little bit in there. And I check and I get a room after a little bit of waiting time because they were apparently really full. I go into my little cubicle and I already hear in the room right next to me a family with a relatively young child. I don't know, I didn't see them. But the child sounded really young. The parents were loud and talking, and the child was loud and whining. I was like, yo, this is supposed to be a relaxation room. I know, with children it's hard, but I don't know, man. That kind of sucked. I was standing there, and I was thinking, does it even make sense to be in here? Because it's more quiet outside of this relaxation room. It's more quiet where I just was than in here in the relaxation room. I'm not gonna be able to sleep here. So I walk out and I say to the lady, sorry, there's no way I can sleep in here. Because of, And she's like, oh, okay. And I leave. So I was like, no problem anyway, because my flight is, boarding soon. Because I only had a 2.5 hour layover, right? So I go and have the little shower, and then I sit down to just chill a little bit. And then I see a fucking delay email. I'm like, no! Because my first flight from Japan to Abu Dhabi was 16 hours. How is it 16 hours when normally that's in between Austria and Japan, but from Austria to Japan I can have a flight within 12 hours? How is this one flight 16 hours? I must have gone like quite around the globe. And then I get a delay for 4 hours. So 6.5 hours layover. 2.5 totally fine. 3 hours totally fine. Even 4 hours I could still somewhat tolerate. I would not, if I knew that this was a 6-hour waiting time, I would have not chosen that flight. Yeah, so that kind of sucked. I was like, ah. So I go back to the relaxation room and I'm like, hey, if that family, if they leave, can you let me know? And I would like to have a room again after all because my flight got delayed. And she's like, yeah, the family's already gone. I'm like, what? They were in there for like a really short amount of time. Maybe they realized that they are bothering other people. But she said, sorry, it's already closed. Like everybody's, you know, in the rooms. It's filled up, and I don't have an opening until like 2 hours later. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll wait. I'll still be around in 2 hours. So so I sit down nearby because they said like wait 2 hours or something like that, right? Half an hour later or so of me sitting there, the lady comes up to me and she's like, you waiting for the relaxation room, right? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, sorry, actually, they're all closed until like 7 a.m., which would have been like half an hour before I would take off, I think. And I gotta start boarding earlier than that anyway. And I was like, huh? I didn't say it. I just said, yeah, okay. But I was wondering, why did it change? Like, first you said to me that it would open up in 2 hours. And then at that point, you tell me it opens up in like maybe 5 hours or so. I'm like, how come that was changed, huh? And then she said I should just go to one of those like reclining chairs. So I go to the reclining chairs, but suddenly I'm freezing. Suddenly it's cold as fuck in the airport. And you know when it's cold, you just can't really sleep. I tried covering myself with my coat, and I tried sleeping in the reclining chair, but it just, you know, it just doesn't work. I tried curling up. I tried everything. Yeah. So I was just like dozing off for short periods of time, and then wake up again, and check the time, and then sleep again.